I lament the passing of so much that we took great pride in doing, especially the working of stock horseback. To me, this will always be the only way to handle cattle properly. The rip-tear-bust attitude of so many today makes lunatics of the cattle that they try and handle. Who is this man? He's packed the mules and laughed at fools as he rode around the bush, working on cattle stations far from the city push. He's felt deep pity for those in the city for well over 40 years, but sadness now fills his heart as his way of life disappears. He's seen things change out on the range, not all of it was good. He liked the old ways best and feels misunderstood. It may seem unjust as he mocks with disgust those who say he's getting on, but by the time they rise to start their day, he's on his horse and gone. He'll stare at the stars and talk of crops on Mars, give a sardonic smile as he puts the billy on to boil and thinks of his lifestyle. Warmed by the fire's heat, he'll eat damper and meat and give a contented sigh, then roll his swag out on the ground to sleep beneath the sky. Give him a horse for the toughest course, but he's told that's out of date. These motorbikes and buggies he just can't advocate. He would set the pace in the Madden race to wheel the wild mob's way, but the young uns laugh and say, old fella, we do it differently today. In the Bronco yard no one works hard, no use for a green-eyed rope. The old ways and skills have disappeared on a very slippery slope. In the dead of night, if the mob takes flight, there's no need to halt the rush, for they're locked away in a yard that now is a cradle and a crush. Was once a job to tail the mob with only a horse for a mate, but you'll no longer see bullocks on the road walking from state to state. Men proved their worth in grass to the girth, watching patiently while they fed, but droving is a thing of the past. They have road trains now instead. It's steers they sell as they sign the death knell of the ringer of yesterday, so he'll try another occupation, his skills no longer on display. Cattle go by boat beside sheep and goat and sail for the Middle East, where they use a vastly different method to slaughter the bovine beast. And the ways of old are too slow, he's told, now everyone's in a hurry, and progress means you'll no longer eat a camp cook's week-old curry. They think it's too tough to be sleeping rough, so it's back to the station at night, and he misses the yarns after a billy of tea by the flickering firelight. He's seen grown men cry when the country's dry and cattle die like flies, seen families pray as storm clouds gather and hope fills the skies. Seen dust storms blow, part of nature's show, when the west winds do prevail, and the only sight that he can see is cattle weak and frail. So long are his days as the owner surveys the condition of his stock. He searches for feed and water, working against the clock. And when comes the rain to ease the pain of all the stock they've lost, he'll laugh and cheer and share a beer while joking with the boss. When the rivers flood and the ground turns to mud and fences get washed away, he'll grab some wire and think of how the grass will grow today. After months in the scrub, it's off to the pub. His wages are gone in a week. With not a care, it's back to work, a life that is quite unique. Astride his horse, he rode his course with a saddle for a throne. Years of swags and campfires, and living on his own. And men like Patterson, Ogilvy, Lawson wrote of his feats in prose, a vital part of our history, as everybody knows. You'll find his name in the Hall of Fame, this relic from days departed, who lived a life not so long ago that was not for the faint-hearted. A vital cog in the cattle slog whose task was never done, who lived his life beneath the stars and Australia's burning sun. Who is this bloke of whom you spoke? this man of such extremes, this man whose loyalty is the stuff of novelists and dreams, who's lived a life filled with work and strife that most won't understand. He's the great Australian stockman, once timeless like this land.